My name is Michael Thompson, and 3 months ago, I was on top of the world. It all started on a sun drenched afternoon at my family's vineyard estate in Napa Valley. The rolling hills were lush, the grapes heavy on the vine, and I was about to propose to the woman of my dreams. We'd met 2 years earlier at a charity gala in San Francisco. Emma Carter was volunteering at the auction table when I spilled champagne on her dress. She laughed it off, and just like that, our lives intertwined. I was a tech entrepreneur fresh off a successful exit. She was an up and coming art curator with a sharp mind and a warm heart. I'd spent weeks planning every detail, the aisle lined with white roses, string lights twinkling overhead, and a string quartet playing our song. When she arrived, her breath caught at the sight. As she walked toward me, I dropped to one knee, heart pounding. "Emma," I said, voice trembling with joy. "You've made every ordinary day extraordinary. Will you marry me?" Her hand flew to her mouth. Tears glistened in her eyes. "Yes," she whispered, and the world seemed to hold its breath, then erupted in cheers. I slipped the ring onto her finger, a custom-cut emerald, chosen to echo the green of those vineyard hills. After, we toasted with my closest friends and family. My father clapped me on the back. "Smart choice, son," he grinned. "Emma's one of a kind." My mother wiped her eyes, beaming at the two of us. In that moment, I believed nothing could go wrong. As the sun set behind the vines, I pulled Emma close. "To us?" I murmured. She laid her head on my shoulder. "To forever," she answered. Little did I know that forever was built on a foundation of lies, and within weeks, the investment she called our future would vanish into thin air, along with $5 million of my family's legacy. But that story comes later. For now, remember this perfect evening of promise, because every betrayal begins with its own beautiful proposal. It started subtly. 2 weeks after the proposal, Emma began disappearing for work meetings. She'd slip out at dawn, claiming early gallery calls, then return at dusk, tired but smiling. At first I thought nothing of it. Her career was blossoming, and I trusted her implicitly. But one evening, I noticed her phone buzzing in her coat pocket. She stepped into the study to take the call, voice hushed. "Yes, the wires are in place. Just 5 more minutes." I froze. "Wires?" I asked when she hung up. Emma smiled apologetically. "Just banker speak, Michael. Checking some online transfers for the new exhibit budget." Doubts clawed at me. The next morning, I checked our shared calendar. Nothing about meetings at 8 a.m. I browsed her emails on her laptop under the guise of planning our wedding playlist and found exchanges with someone named Victor Reed. Their messages spoke of strategic allocations and asset growth, jargon far too financial for an art curator. I confronted her gently that night over dinner. "Emma, who is Victor Reed?" I slid the printout across the table. Her eyes darted. She reached for it, heart pounding. "He's an investment strategist. I wanted to surprise you, grow our nest egg for the honeymoon." Relief and suspicion warred inside me. I knew Emma's passion was art, not finance. Yet she spoke convincingly about compound interest and liquidity events. I let it go. After all, she was planning for us. Over the next days, I trailed her discreetly. I saw her slip into a sleek high-rise, enter the 27th floor, then emerge an hour later with a confident stride. I grabbed the building's business card. Reed Capital Management. My pulse raced. Our $5 million wine estate loan was tied up in that same firm. Late that night, I dialed the number. A polite voice answered, "Reed Capital, how may I assist?" I stammered, "I'm calling about our account." Silence. Then softly, "I'm sorry, sir. We don't have any record of your name." My heart sank. Emma, the woman I trusted with my life, had led me into unknown territory, and I had no idea of the danger I was stepping into. As I hung up, I realized this wasn't about surprise honeymoon gifts. It was about $5 million, and secrets far deeper than I ever imagined. A week after the secret meetings, Emma handed me an engraved invitation card. Reed Capital Presentation, Thursday, 10 a.m., Suite 2703. I tucked it into my jacket and tried not to let my heart race. This was our first joint decision as fiancés. She'd arranged everything to prove her loyalty. The lobby of the glass tower smelled of polished marble and fresh coffee. Emma greeted me with a confident smile. "Ready to see our future?" she whispered. I followed her into a private conference room bathed in morning light. A sleek table held 3 laptops, branded folders, and a curved monitor glowing with animated graphs. Victor Reed entered, smooth in his tailored navy suit. He shook my hand firmly. "Michael, welcome. I've heard great things." His voice was calm, but carried authority. He gestured to the screen, a line chart showing a quiet blue curve exploding into a jagged gold spike. "This," he said, pressing a remote, "is our proprietary opportunity. In just 6 months, we turned a curated portfolio of crypto derivatives into a 400% gain. Legally, of course." The graph leapt to life. Millions ticked upward. Emma squeezed my hand. I swallowed. Crypto derivatives? My mind raced back to her gallery jargon. It all made sense. Art portfolio, financial portfolio. Victor smiled at Emma. "Emma knows I don't use flashy buzzwords. What we offer is access, exclusive entry into algorithms that our firm developed in stealth mode. We're not talking Bitcoin. This is the next generation. Synthetic arbitrage tokens." He clicked again. Testimonials scrolled. "I tripled my capital in 90 days from a private equity manager. Consistent 30% monthly returns from a Bay Area VC." The tone was sincere, no hype. Emma leaned forward. "Michael, this is how we'll secure our wedding fund, our first home, even set up a charitable foundation. Think of it as our family legacy." Her eyes shone with excitement. I looked at her emerald ring, nearly glowing under the projector light. Victor passed me a folder stamped confidential, Reed Capital Management. Inside were term sheets, minimum commitment, $500,000 initial, lock-in period, 6 months, projected ROI, 300 ounce, 500%, performance fee, 20% of gains. He closed the folder decisively. "Sign here, here, and here," he said, sliding a pen toward me. "Funds wired by end of day, and you'll see your account accessible by Monday. Our platform dashboard offers real-time performance metrics." My pulse thundered. $500,000 was a third of my personal savings, but if it truly multiplied 5-fold, we'd have $2.5 million in half a year, enough to pay off the vineyard mortgage and invest in Emma's new gallery. I glanced at Emma. She nodded, trust shining in her eyes. I exhaled, lifted the pen, and signed. The pen's click sounded unnaturally loud. I pushed the folder back. "I'm in?" Victor's smile widened. "Excellent decision. We'll handle the rest." He shook my hand again, cold, measured, and final. Emma kissed my cheek. "You're going to thank me," she whispered. As we left, the conference room door closed with a soft thud behind us. I felt a rush of adrenaline and relief. Our plan was in motion. But in that moment, I couldn't shake one thought. Why had Victor avoided my name when I inquired as an account holder? And why did Emma's confidence feel rehearsed? I tucked the folder into my briefcase, heart pounding with excitement and a flicker of doubt. We were banking on secrets that none of us fully understood. Only later would I learn how deep those secrets ran, and how quickly that $500,000 would become $5 million vanished. 2 days after signing the documents, I woke to my phone buzzing with notifications. Emma smiled across the breakfast table as I scrolled through. $100,000 transferred to Reed Capital Management. $200,000 transferred to Reed Capital Management. My heart fluttered. These were small slices of our $5 million commitment, but on track with the 6-month plan. Emma poured coffee. "See? It's working already," she beamed. Over the next few mornings, the withdrawals accelerated. 400 odd downs. 800 had down by day 5. I'd spent hours checking our joint account statements. Each transfer left a perfectly clean ledger entry. No fees, no holds, just the Reed Capital memo. My initial relief turned to unease. Where were these funds going? And why hadn't I received any confirmation emails from my bank? One evening, I logged into the bank's website directly. Our balance had plunged by $1.8 million in less than a week. I stared at the screen, disbelief turning to panic. I called customer service. The representative recited generic lines. Transactions approved by account holder. No holds detected. All systems normal. I pressed, voice tight. Who authorized these transfers? The line went quiet. Then, sir, on joint accounts, both parties can initiate wire instructions. My pulse raced. Emma had the power to move money anytime, and she did. That night, I confronted her gently as she checked wedding venues on her laptop. I slid the printout across the island countertop showing the withdrawals. She froze for a beat, then recovered with practiced calm. Michael, I thought you knew. These were our payments into the fund. Reed Capital cycles the money through several subaccounts for security. It'll all show up in your dashboard tomorrow. I wanted to believe her, but my gut tightened. I decided to verify. The next morning, I tried to log into the dashboard link Victor had provided. It led nowhere. 404 error. I checked my email. No welcome message, no credentials, nothing. My hands shook as I shut the laptop. Emma watched, concern flickering in her eyes. Don't worry, she said softly. It's all coming together. But as I lay awake that night, I realized something crucial. I had willingly signed away control of millions, blindly trusting a promise of outrageous returns. And now, whether real or fabricated, those first transfers had set a course that I couldn't easily reverse. Tomorrow, I vowed, I'd get to the bottom of this, before it was too late. By day 7, the numbers no longer thrilled me. They terrified me. I sat in my home office under harsh fluorescent light, scrolling through every bank statement line by line. Something didn't add up. Several transfers carried Reed Capital Management. Others showed only a generic wire transfer description, yet a few small withdrawals were labeled third-party disbursement. I pulled out our joint account agreement, the one Emma and I signed at her insistence when we opened the account 6 months ago. Her signature looked perfect next to mine, but as I traced the ink, I noticed the date line on hers read 03/15/2025, while mine was 03/14/2025. That made no sense. She had signed the day after me, yet the bank stamped the account open on the 12th. My pulse spiked. I printed the page and drove to our local branch first thing. The lobby smelled of coffee and printer toner. I approached the teller window. I need a copy of the original signature card, I said, sliding my ID and a photocopy of the agreement across the counter. The teller frowned. Those are archived off-site. It'll take 2 days. 2 days? My stomach twisted. I left, clutching the printout. As I walked to my car, I called my friend Lisa, an accountant who'd helped me audit my startup. Lisa, I'm panicking. The signatures on our joint account don't match the bank's dates. Something's fishy. She calmed me down. Send me the scans, she said. I'll compare the signatures and check for tampering. Back home, I found Emma in the kitchen, browsing wedding colors on her tablet. I slid the documents toward her. Can you explain these dates? She froze, her fork poised in midair. Then gently, Michael, I must have dated it wrong. I was under stress with the gallery exhibit. I nodded, though doubt churned inside me. Emma had always been meticulous. She wouldn't misdate a page by mistake. That night, I emailed Lisa the scans. While waiting, I combed through my inbox and her phone's message history. Under the guise of finding our wedding florist, I discovered a thread from Victor. Michael T., our compliance team flagged your request for account records. Please direct all inquiries to Emma. Why redirect to Emma? My name was on the account too. I forwarded the thread to Lisa. An hour later, her reply flashed. Michael, Emma's signature has a slightly different pen pressure and flow than her wedding invite drafts. These look like a high-quality forgery. Also, Reed Capital's official address is a mailbox facility, not a real office. My breath caught. Forged signature, fake address. And I had wired over $2.7 million already. My heart pounded. I realized Emma's calm reassurances were rehearsed, and that our money had been siphoned through shell accounts she controlled. I snapped the laptop shut, my world tilted. Emma's footsteps approached. She paused at the doorway. "Everything okay?" she asked, concern softening her voice. I met her eyes, searching for the woman I loved, but finding a stranger. "We need to talk," I said, voice quiet but firm. As she followed me into the study, I knew I was crossing a line. I was no longer her fiancé. I was a man betrayed, armed with damning evidence, about to confront the greatest deception of my life. That morning, Emma's side of the bed was cold. My heart sank as I called her name through our empty house. No answer. I grabbed my phone. 10 missed calls, all from me. Tried her tablet. Locked. Walked into the kitchen, her coffee cup still half full, lipstick stained. She'd left in a hurry. Panic set in. I raced to my laptop and logged into our joint account one more time. Zero. A single $5,000 line item labeled "One-Time Redemption, Reed Capital Management." That was it. The remaining balance vaporized in one swift move. My hands trembled as I dialed Reed Capital's number. Ring. Ring. Then a click. "Reed Capital Management, how may I assist?" "Where's my fiancé's account? Why is it zero?" I said, voice cracking. The reply was calm, almost rehearsed. "I'm sorry, sir, but all funds were redeemed per instruction on 04/05/2025 at 07:42 a.m. Authorization came from the primary account holder." My blood ran cold. Emma's phone call at dawn, the secret meetings, it all linked back to that timestamp. She'd emptied the account before I even woke up. I grabbed my coat and keys, dashed out the door. The vineyard gates clicked shut behind me. I called her best friend, Sarah. "Sarah, Emma's vanished, and she's taken $5 million. Do you know where she'd go?" Silence, then shaky. "Michael, I'm so sorry. Emma left me a voicemail, but I didn't think it was serious." I listened to the recording in the car. Emma's voice, pained and hurried. "I'm sorry, Michael. I have to do this. I can't let you get hurt. Too much is at stake. I'll explain everything soon. Please don't call the police." Her words twisted in my gut. She'd lied to protect me, or protect herself? I drove straight to the Reed Capital address, only to find a dilapidated mailbox center. No office, no sign, just a P.O. box. I sprinted to my lawyer's office next. James answered, bleary-eyed. "Michael, what's wrong?" I slammed the bank statement on his desk. "She's disappeared. And this." His face turned grave as he scanned the figures. "We need to file a police report, and fast. This is fraud, wire theft, possibly interstate crime." As we spoke, I realized the depth of the betrayal. The woman I planned to marry had orchestrated a meticulously planned heist. $5 million, my family's future, stolen in the space of a heartbeat. That afternoon, I stood in our empty vineyard hallway, the late spring light slicing through the windows. Portraits of Emma and me on the walls? Now I saw them as relics of a life that never existed. I closed my eyes and whispered to the silent room. I'm coming for answers, and I won't stop until I get them. In Part 7, I'll trace her digital footsteps, emails, texts, and the hidden trail that leads to the truth. Because you can run from betrayal, but you can't hide forever. I knew brute force wouldn't work. I needed the paper trail. First, I accessed Emma's old email account. I had her backup password in my pocket. In her inbox, I found messages signed by Victor Reed, including transfer confirmed, beneficiary Emma T, 04/05/25, 07:42 a.m. Reminder, sweep remaining assets at 3 a.m., avoid daily limits. New shell account created, Redwood Escrow, LLC. All had been professionally deleted, but I recovered them using restoration software. Then I examined her credit card statement, spotting charges under the name Redwood Escrow, $12,500. Consulting fee, 0205. 8,210. Blockchain audit, 0220. 5,000. Compliance service, 0301. It looked like she was booking luxury hotels, but in reality, these were fake services used to launder money. Next, I checked her phone logs. Multiple calls to +1 302 555 018, an anonymous VoIP line registered in Delaware. Whose number was it? I sent it to Sarah, a tracking specialist. Sarah found a company director in Delaware Public Records, Victor M. Reed. No official office, just a virtual address. I wanted a face. I searched generated photos with matching age, complexion, and hairstyle filters. One came up with 92% similarity, but still too much uncertainty. To go a step further, I filed a legal request to Emma's bank for a frozen draft. Within 24 hours, the bank sent transaction records. 04/04/2025, 11:15 p.m. To Jan Emsers, Redwood Escrow, 05/2025. 02:30 a.m., 3 Mayans, Redwood Escrow. All completed before I even woke up. The credit card records, VoIP bills, emails. Everything aligned. I sent the compiled evidence to James, my attorney. That evening, I went to Emma's house with printed documents in hand. I set up my video doorbell camera, rang the bell once, and stepped away to record. On video, Emma opens the door, face tense. "Michael, what do you want?" "Answers," I said to the camera. "Your choices have consequences. Database logs, cell tower data, payment slips." When brought together, they painted a full map of the $5 million fraud. Next step? Deliver this case to the FBI and go after Victor Reed. Because a scammer may run, but digital footprints never disappear. It's been 6 months since Emma vanished with $5 million. I've spent that time rebuilding, not just my finances, but my faith and trust itself. After handing my evidence over to the FBI, agents confirmed Reed Capital Management was a shell operation tied to at least 3 other fraud rings across 4 states. Victor Reed remains at large, but dozens of victims have had their money frozen, pending restitution. I received word that $1.2 million of my funds may be recovered, enough to stabilize the Vineyard loan and cover legal fees. Legally, the joint account signature irregularities we uncovered allowed us to void Emma's authorization, and the bank reversed $800,000 of the transfers. It's far from the $5 million, but it's a start. My lawyer told me, "You fought smart, Michael. This is more return than many ever see." Personally, I've learned the hard way. Love and money make a dangerous mix. I sold the Napa Valley estate and reinvested in a modest loft in San Diego. The Vineyard's rolling hills, once our dream backdrop, now feel like a monument to my naivete. I launched a nonprofit with the survivors of Reed's scheme, offering financial education workshops and support groups for fraud victims. Standing at the front of that room, I see faces hardened by betrayal, much like mine once was, and I realize, helping others reclaim their dignity is as satisfying as any financial gain. A friend asked me recently, "Would you ever trust again?" I smiled and said, "Yes, but differently. I've learned to ask questions, read between the lines, and demand transparency, no matter how perfect the proposal. Love taught me to open my heart. Betrayal taught me to guard it with wisdom. And now, as I sit on my balcony overlooking the Pacific, I know that there are darker waters out there, but also brighter horizons. To anyone listening, your story isn't over because you've been deceived. Your choices going forward define you far more than the lies you endured. Choose carefully, and remember, sometimes the strongest revenge is living well on your own terms.